All right, here we are, everybody. Welcome in. Let's fix this a little bit here. Get you a little closer to the mustache. How about that? All right, exciting day in college football today. I guess for some people it's exciting. For some others, they're not big fans of this transfer portal era, and I completely get it. I understand. It's a little bit different than kind of what some people are used to. So yeah, this is crazy what we saw today. All the quarterbacks that are going into the portal, big time wide receivers. It's just it's a new age of college football. It's something that we've all had to get used to, and whether you like it or not, is here. And what I continue to say to people is don't get attached to these players because the transfer portal gives and it takes. And there's really no reason for anybody to latch on to a player because they can be gone just like that. And I mean, you look at some of these teams across the country that are basically just becoming feeder programs for other teams. They're evaluating prospects. They're doing their job, finding players that can help them because they might not be able to recruit at a very high level, but they can find kind of a diamond in the rough guy, and then just like that, they're gone. That's kind of what a lot of these teams are having to deal with, like Vanderbilt and teams like that. I mean, I feel really bad for those guys. They go out there, they do all the work on evaluating talent, and after one good year, those players are gone just because they just don't have a sustainable situation from an NIL perspective. There's just not a whole lot of support there at Vanderbilt. So it's it's a tough deal, and we'll talk a little bit about that so far. So far, no real surprises for Mississippi State in the portal, and that could be there could be more news to come. This is just day one, and there's some guys out there that could transfer. For the most part, the guys that have already entered the portal were really no surprise. Guys that are looking for more opportunities and things like that. And of course, Will Rogers, we knew that he was probably going to move on, whether it be to the NFL or to the transfer portal. And it was some news came out on Monday with the crystal ball and a few more reports that Will Rogers was leaning towards possibly ending up at Washington, which would be a very interesting get for Washington, getting Dylan Johnson and Will Rogers in back-to-back years. So we'll monitor that. That could be an interesting pickup for them. The transfer portal opened up. Mississippi State hired a strength and conditioning coach, Shawn Williams, that came from, if you remember back in the early 2000s, was a running back at Alabama. Before that was playing for Mike Leach, actually, at Texas Tech. He was a Big 12 Freshman of the Year at running back and ended up going to Alabama, finishing out his career there at running back at Alabama. I remember him playing for Texas Tech in Alabama back in the day. He becomes a strength and conditioning coach and has been at Oregon the last few years in that program as an assistant strength and conditioning coach, and a guy that has a really good resume. If you look at where he's been, he was at Wisconsin, I believe, as well. And really the best resume a strength and conditioning coach can have is himself, and the dude is absolutely jacked to the gills. So, I mean, obviously he knows a little something about strength and conditioning, but has a lot of experience too in the speed training side of things. So he's going to bring a little bit different perspective, a little more modern strength and conditioning perspective to the program. I think it's a really good hire. I've always been of the opinion for a place like Mississippi State, in a lot of different sports, in a lot of different staff roles, hiring somebody, if you can't get a really good head coach from the Power 5 or some place like that, hiring an assistant at a Power 5 is the next best thing to me, because those guys know how to work within this level. It's a different kind of level on the Power 5. And while he won't be recruiting, that's kind of my opinion of hiring assistant coaches and hiring head coaches. If you're going to hire an assistant or somebody like that, do it with somebody that's been in the Power 5 that has experience winning recruiting battles in the Power 5, developing Power 5 players, things like that. I think that's the way to go. And you hired a guy that's kind of the next in line at Oregon to be a strength and conditioning coach. He's taking this step up now to Mississippi State. I think it's going to be a good deal for the Bulldogs. Still no news on the defensive staff, though, and that's kind of becoming a little growing concern here. Jeff Lebby has not secured anybody as defensive coordinator to this point, and the only staff member he has on the defensive side of the ball is David Turner, which that's a big piece to have. But they're still searching for that defensive coordinator, and folks, I don't have any information for you, and there's really none out there right now. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if it's, the staff is being really quiet and holding things tight to the vest, or they're missing on a ton of people. I don't really know. But right now, I have nothing for you. DJ Durkin was a guy I mentioned early on in the process. Tom Allen, the head coach at Indiana, that was just let go there. Some people mentioned Jeff Collins. I did a lot of checking on that this weekend. And Jeff, as of Thursday, had not even heard from Mississippi State. So I don't see him being a serious candidate right now. At least I haven't heard anything that would change my mind on that. But we're still looking for who's going to be the head coach for Mississippi, or defensive coordinator for Mississippi State. You got the whole offensive staff intact. You got your strength and conditioning staff starting to come into play. You're just waiting on defense, and we'll see what happens there. All right, guys, we're going to start with some questions and comments. As you know, and you guys have done YouTube before, get your comments over on this chat box over here, and I'll answer what I can, and we'll go for there. We'll start with Kobe Walker, a good friend over there in, I believe, Simpson County. Do you think Dylan Gabriel will come to Mississippi State? That's the quarterback at Oklahoma, entered the transfer portal today. And a little background on Dylan Gabriel: was recruited by Jeff Lebby at UCF. Ended up entering the transfer portal when Lebby was at Ole Miss. Was going to go, there was a lot of talk that he was going to come to Ole Miss with Lebby. Ends up committing to UCLA. Lebby goes to Oklahoma. He goes to Oklahoma after Caleb Williams moves from Oklahoma. And he becomes Lebby's quarterback for the last 2 years and has been incredibly productive. Today he enters the portal, which is not that big of a surprise, because he was either going to go to the NFL or he was going to go to the portal. And with what they have coming up and Jackson Arnold at quarterback, they're kind of ready to hand the reins over to him, their young quarterback that they want to have for multiple seasons at Oklahoma. It was just time to move on. But not because Dylan Gabriel was not successful there at Oklahoma. He had 2 really good seasons there. Last year, 3,168 passing yards for Oklahoma, 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And, was just fantastic again this year for the Sooners. I was trying to pull up his stats from this season. Pull up his career stats here. He had 3,660 yards, so 500 more yards this year, 5 more touchdowns, 30 touchdowns this year, 6 interceptions again. So he has 55 touchdowns in 2 years, 6,800 yards. He completed 66% of his passes, and that's not even, going through what he did at UCF, which was really good too. 3,600 yards as a freshman, 3,500 yards as a sophomore, was going to be really good again in 2021, but went down with an injury. He's just been great. I mean, to answer your question, Kobe, I don't mean to, I was just kind of walking through his accolades. It's a wait and see. I'm of the opinion that he's might be looking for a place where he can compete for a championship right away, and that's no shot at Mississippi State. It's just a place like Oregon, where he's been rumored to go to, is better suited roster-wise for a guy like Dylan Gabriel right now. Mississippi State is in kind of a rebuilding mode right now, and I wouldn't blame him if that's where he chooses to go. But in the same vein, you get a Dylan Gabriel, Mississippi State becomes a lot more attractive destination for wide receivers, running backs, offensive linemen. Those guys want to play with a guy like Dylan Gabriel, who's thrown for over 10,000 yards in his career. So that could be a selling point for Jeff Lebby is, hey, when we get you on board, our plan is to compete this year. And we have a difference maker at quarterback. We have an elite quarterback at this point. We're running a great offense. You're used to this offense. You've ran it now for, 4 or 5 years. Let's build something special here. So I think State's going to have NIL money to entice him. I think they have the relationship aspect of it with Jeff Lebby. And the offense, obviously, he's used to that. And you have the opportunity to play inside the SEC. I think they're going to be able to sell that to him. But everything I'm hearing right now, Oregon seems to be the favorite. We'll see what happens. If you're able to get him on campus, I feel really good about Mississippi State's chances. If he's willing to make a visit to Mississippi State, I'm feeling good about that because he already has that relationship with Jeff Lebby. So we'll see. I think the longer that this goes, the better Mississippi State's chances are because the word was coming into today that he was going to make a quick decision. It was looking like Oregon. If he delays this process a little bit, I think State's chances go up. As of right now, I would say under 50% probably for me. I don't feel confident about Mississippi State landing him. But the good news is if you don't get a Dylan Gabriel, there's some quality quarterbacks out there right now that Mississippi State is going to get. There's somebody out there that State's going to be able to land that has been a starting quarterback has been a backup on a Power 5 team that is really good. So, we'll be watching that. Kobe, do you think the basketball team is still alive? It was a bad week. You have bad weeks like this sometimes. You have bad games in basketball. It's kind of like baseball. Baseball is a little more unpredictable on any given night, but basketball is a strange sport too. You can have a bad night and a team can spring an upset, but that Southern loss was as bad as it gets, and it's gonna carry through the rest of the season. You're gonna have that quad 4 loss attached to you the rest of the way. And it's like what I said on TNL today. Like I really believe that State needs to make up probably 2 games in SEC play to get that game back. I mean, that was just a terrible loss. They're gonna have to figure it out. I mean, they got to finish out this non-conference slate really strong. They don't need to lose another game in non-conference. And when you get Tolu back, you just hope that you're firing all cylinders. But there's obviously something wrong right now. Redacted XXX. I'm always scared to talk to you, man. I don't know if I should be talking to you or not. Are you gonna give me some spam? What do you know about Michael Van Buren? Good player. I know there's some. He was Oregon commitment, a quarterback, and opened up his recruitment. He's going to be visiting Mississippi State this weekend. I think Friday he's going to be coming in for a visit. Which also, by the way, AJ Maddox, the quarterback at Oak Grove, he's coming in this weekend. Going to be here, or actually going to be here Thursday, I think, for midweek visit. And we'll see what comes from that. I'm very interested to see what they do here at quarterback. They have Josh Flowers committed. They went and saw him the other day in Mobile, so I don't get the impression they're dropping him. And you're going after 2 other quarterbacks, which, I don't think they're going to take 3 quarterbacks in this class out of the high school ranks. So I don't really know what they're doing there, but they're after some quality guys. Van Buren is a little bit on the smaller side from a, height perspective. He's under 6 feet, but really good mobile quarterback, has a good arm. I think that he's a good pickup if State's able to reel him in. And I think they have a really good shot at it with him visiting this weekend. I trust Jeff Lebby's evaluations. He's been really good at it in his career. He's developed quarterbacks really well. So I'm gonna take his word for it. He's a lot like Mike Leach. Mike Leach knew what a good quarterback looked like and what a quarterback for his offense looked like. So I trust Jeff Lebby here on this evaluation. Blair, thinks we need a DC like yesterday. Yeah, they really need to get somebody lined up like now because they have the transfer portal. You got to keep guys on the defensive side of the ball, and there's just a lot of unknowns right now. Terry Rylan Goady's 7th-year senior. Yeah, he's still hanging around. He's got he's entered the transfer portal the other day. Let's look at his career. So 19, 20, 21, and 22 was at Georgia. And then this year, so this will be, I guess, his 6th year. So, because he had the injury, I think he got a medical red shirt, and then obviously COVID. So this will be his COVID year that he gets when he transfers as a grad transfer. So 6 years, looks like. Heath, what is your overall opinion on the transfer portal, NIL, in the state of college football today? Yeah. I mean, it's a interesting turn that we've seen, but there's been so many changes over the years, and everybody's always talked about, this is going to be the death of college football and stuff like that, and it always survives. I just think it's going to take a lot of getting used to. I think eventually that it will slow down a good bit. You're going to see guys get locked up in NIL deals. People will be retained. You're going to see a situation where players will realize the grass isn't always greener. They'll have more people in their ear telling them, don't do this, than the ones that are telling them to get out now, because there's so many guys that enter the portal that are stuck, that they don't have anywhere to go. Or they think they're going to go to a better school, and reality, they get in a worse situation. So it's, for some people, it's great. For some people, you have leverage. You have an opportunity to go out and get more money. You have an opportunity to go out like these Vanderbilt guys and go to a better school. And that's good. I mean, I think that you should have options. I think everybody should have options. And I think having money, making money off of yourself is perfectly fine. I built this YouTube up to, make a little bit of money. I don't make a lot of money on this, but I mean, you guys have helped me make money on this off of my work. I think that, I should be able to make money off of what I do. They should be able to make money off of what they do as well on the field. I know they have a scholarship, and I hear those points that people make about the scholarship money and, housing and things like that. I get that. But I also don't have a problem with them making a little extra cash when you have Jimbo Fisher getting fired for $76 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, these coaches are robbing people way more than the players are. And the coaches are making millions off of these players. So at some point, they deserve their cut of it. Now, is it out of control? Yes. They've got to find a way to figure out the NIL and transfer portal situation and make it, a little less hectic from what it is right now. Right now, it's, you got people tampering into programs, forcing players into the portal and getting them on board. And it's just, to me, that's just outrageous to be able to call a player that's playing for another coach and entice them to get in the transfer portal to come play for them. I just don't know if I like that. It's kind of dirty to me. So there's a lot of things in the transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff that really need to be fixed. And I don't have an answer to that. I'm good at saying things are in a bad way, but as far as solutions, a lot of times I don't have the answers. David Pithen, is Chris Parsons still the future, and will Chris Parsons take a Jackson Arnold type role this year as a portal QB, the placeholder for Parsons to take over in 25? I don't know. Are you saying, I guess you're saying, is he going to be the next in line? He's going to have a chance. I don't think he's the guy this year, because I think you want a experienced guy to come in for Levy in year one to kind of help bridge the gap. and then you have a third year Chris Parson ready to roll next year, that would be ideal. I think he has a chance to be. I think he's got some things that you can't teach, some intangibles about him that you just don't get very often. I love his energy. I love, how he doesn't really get rattled. He had a bad game against Texas A&M, and that was understandable. He's going up against a good defense on the road, his first ever SEC road game, and it was a tough night for him. But he's just a freshman. I think that he has a chance to be the guy. He's going to have a chance to compete this year too. It just depends on who they bring in and what Jeff Lebby's thoughts are on him. I don't know what Lebby thinks of him just yet. Heath, you like the stash, huh? I like to change it up every now and then. I've had a stash, I've had the full beard. I went beardless last month. I'll never do that again. I don't think. I think I'm done with that. Long hair, short hair. I mean, I just don't like to keep things the same. David, if State gets Stonka Burnside, is he projected as Luther Burden day one starter? I don't know. It's so tough to come in and right away you're starting in the SEC. I mean, I think he definitely has the potential. I think that anytime you get a 4-star wide receiver, they have the potential to get on the field, and he's got the body. He's physically ready right now, but it can be a learning curve. I never project somebody to play right away because you just don't know how they're going to react to coming into the SEC and being a day one guy in the SEC. Now, he wanted to get in here early. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. If he was able to get in here early, I would say his chances go up. I think if you want to play as a true freshman, especially in the SEC, getting here in the spring is probably your best bet. Very rarely now do you see true freshmen come in and start and play a lot from day one if they show up in the summer. It's just really difficult. The spring allows you to kind of get acquainted several months earlier, and it's almost like you're coming in as a mid-year freshman before the season even starts. So that would be his best path, but I won't count him out either. I mean, he's a legit athlete, and I think that he physically could stand up to doing it. Just mentally coming in and playing in the SEC, that can be tough. Elvis, how much smoke is in Xavion hitting the portal, especially with his NIL deal here? I think there's some smoke there. I think that's definitely a possibility that Xavion could jump in the portal. Wouldn't shock me at all. Matter of fact, I'd be a little surprised if he didn't get in the portal. And that's not to say that I know 100% he's going to transfer, because he did this last year. I just think that there's a good chance that he enters. We saw it last year, like I said, and he's been hinting at it. He's just a guy that seems unsettled. And I've been hearing for a long time, too, that there's a guy around him that would like for him to enter the portal. There's some people around him that want him to be at LSU. It really just kind of depends. I know that State's working hard behind the scenes to try to keep him. That's why they helped him get that deal with Google, is to try to entice him to stay, show him that there's some opportunities here at Mississippi State, too, for him. But, he's a kid that grew up, in Louisiana and wanted to be an LSU Tiger. If LSU has a spot for him, it's going to be tough to keep him here. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is what college athletics is becoming. When opportunities arise like this, players leave. And people can deny it all day long, but, if he enters the portal and goes to LSU, I think you can make up your mind how he got there. David, Deion Smith just committed to Ole Miss. Hurts, but I think recruiting momentum in a decent place. They never had a shot with Deion. I never believed that State was going to get him. He's an Ole Miss guy. He's got several people around him that have been pushing him to Ole Miss for years. He just hasn't been able to academically get there. He has a ton of academic issues that date back to LSU, EMCC. I mean, he's just had trouble getting his academic work together. And we'll see if he's able to do it. If he's on the field, he's one of the best wide receivers in the country. And at Ole Miss, he'll flourish. He'll have a huge career there at Ole Miss for a couple years or however much time he has left. But it's just, can he keep it together academically? But as far as him going to Ole Miss, I never once thought that. I think the reason you saw him commit tonight was because State was kind of pushing to try to get the game with him. He was going to visit this weekend. I think they probably put some pressure on him to go ahead and commit, that being Ole Miss. But not a surprise to me. I never believed that he was going to be a part of this Mississippi State team. Looks like State just offered Vanderbilt wide receiver Will Shepard. They're going to have to fight off a lot of teams for him. Several teams in the SEC already involved in his recruitment, I believe. Auburn offered him today, I think. South Carolina. It's like J.J. Harrell, too, by the way, just had an in-home with Jeff Lebby and Chad Bumpus. Just going through Twitter, catching up a little bit. All right, back to the questions. Bryce Hall, have you seen a much more favorable reaction from wide receiver recruits that we haven't seen in a while? Yeah, I think so. I think that Stonka Burnside has definitely been more receptive to Mississippi State in the last couple of weeks with Chad Bumpus coming back and Jeff Lebby bringing an exciting offense. I like where State sits with him. Obviously, J.J. Harrell's locked in with Mississippi State right now, so he seems to be in a good place. They're in a good spot with Caver, the wide receiver out of Alabama, I think, Mario Caver. Let me make sure I got that right. Craver. Sorry. And, that's a 4-star wide receiver who's been close to committing to Mississippi State for a while. Had some good early offers, Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas. Really good athlete. So, yeah, they've had some good – I think they've had a good reaction from this hire so far. Elvis with MVB. I like that, MVB. And Maddox and possibly portal quarterbacks coming in to visit. Where does that leave Trey Petty? I haven't heard of State really being involved with him since Lebby came on. They were pushing for him with Kevin Barbay, but I don't think he was going to come anyway. I think he seemed to be locked in with Illinois. So yeah, I think I don't think they're really making a move for him. It looks like Maddox is their guy in State, at least from what we've seen so far. We haven't seen any traction with Trey Petty so far. So, we'll see what happens there. But I think we'll have some clarity on the quarterback position after this weekend. Remy, we get a stud QB. It accelerates the transition with Lebby. Gabriel's ideal for that reason. If Lebby produces a high-powered offense, year one, it puts State on the map. Agree. I think it's really important for Mississippi State to get a really good quarterback. It would obviously be absolutely huge for that to be Dylan Gabriel because he's a guy that has been in this offense for several years. There's nobody else out there that could run this offense better than Dylan Gabriel. So he would be huge. And I hate to say Mississippi State has to win this battle because I just don't think it's a absolute must. I don't think that State's program's going to crumble or Jeff Lebby is not going to be successful without him. But you certainly are a lot better off with him than not. And there's other guys out there, like I said, in the transfer portal that could help you right away. But Gabriel is the best for this spot. And I'm really interested to see what the coming days bring. Hopefully they're able to get him in on a visit or something and get him involved a little deeper than just, Texan Jeff Lebby or whatever. He would be huge. Kerry Wright on 3 as Dylan Gabriel with a $1.2 million NIL value. Will State be willing to match that? Yeah, so the NIL deal, the evaluation or whatever that they have is a kind of a estimation. It's not like what he's getting. It's just kind of what he's estimated to be worth. He's worth $1.2 million is what they're saying. I think it's going to be more than that. I think at the least, it's going to be $1.5 million probably to get him. That's just, there was a report the other day that it's now like the average quarterback that's really, that can help you, not like a guy that's a backup group of 5 guy or something, but a power 5 quarterback that gets in the portal, that's a starter, is probably going to cost you $1 million. And that's what you're dealing with. And so we have an Ole Miss fan here. State doesn't have $1 million to spend. They just raised $1.5 million in 3 weeks. Idiot. Plus match that with another $1 million. So no, you're wrong. It's crazy that somebody would be so obsessed to get on this live chat and talk about how much State sucks or how much money they can't raise, and yet you've taken the time to sit on this live chat and watch this. That's unbelievable to me. I guarantee you the guy's Twitter is just constantly talking to State people. Elvis, was Keyshawn Shepard decommitting a mutual decision? Yeah, I think so. They're going after some other guys. The Camacho guy, I think his last name's Camacho, the guy from Texas. Could be wrong. He is supposed to be coming in on a visit. That's a guy to look out for. And I think that's probably going to be the guy that replaces Shepard. Heath, who's your Heisman? And do you think the committee got the playoff right? Oh man, that was crazy, the conversation on the playoff thing yesterday. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Like Florida State, I think, Florida State is probably, they deserve to be in because they're undefeated. But at the same time, you want the best 4 in there. Florida State would get killed by the other 3 teams right now. They did nothing wrong. So that's, that it sucks. They did nothing wrong, but you're trying to get the best 4 teams in there. And so at that point, I don't disagree with it. I hate it for them. It sucks. Did nothing wrong. They won all their games, but you're trying to get the best teams. In Alabama, a lot of people are mad about Bama being in there. Fact of the matter is, right now, they would beat most everybody in the country. They just beat Georgia. They haven't lost a game since the Texas game. I didn't have a huge issue with it. So, but, I wasn't that opinionated on it either. A lot of people were really upset about it. I just didn't care that much. John Chaney, would it be better to get portal guys with more than 1 year of eligibility? I'm thinking, it depends on the position. Certain positions, quarterback, I think right now you need somebody to help you right away. So if, in that situation, it would be nice to get a guy multiple years, but a Dylan Gabriel, you'll take him just for 1 year. There's certain places where you want guys that have multiple years, and then certain positions, you need a guy that can help you right away that's had that experience. Defensive line would be great to get a guy that's maybe a grad guy or has, he's in his final year that was really good. So, yeah, it really, to me, just depends. But I like the multiple year guys because they're guys that can get acquainted for a year. Because we've seen several guys that weren't ready right away that took a couple years. Marcus Banks, I thought, had a really good career here. He did a good job, and it took him, a year to get ready. He performed on special teams year one. So I like the multiple year guys more often than not. At quarterback, if you have some guys on the back end, some guys that you feel like can develop and come in after them, then it's nice to have a guy for a year that's a grad that can come in and help you right away. Connor Montgomery, do you think we get Walter Nolan from the portal? He's 6'5", 300 defensive lineman. Hold on. Was number one recruit in 2022 class. No, I don't. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be highly coveted. We got to get this guy's created 3 accounts in here. It's unbelievable. He's going to be highly coveted. Walter Nolan. I think he's going to. I mean, I'm talking like $1 million plus probably to get this dude. I think I'm thinking Alabama, Tennessee, places like that. That's willing to spend some money on him. I just don't see it. He was a guy that I think was demanding some money too out of high school too in NIL, and did a good job at A&M, but he's moving on. Kerry Wright, after the Southern loss, are you surprised the net is 40? A little bit. Yes, I thought it would drop a little more than that, but that's still not great for state, but at least I didn't drop in the hundreds or something. Remy, you think the center from North Texas is ours to beat? Definitely need offensive linemen. And from what I see, he's one of the best. Yeah, I think that state's in a good position for him. You got his offensive line coach here, so they definitely have an upper hand with him. All right, anybody else? Anybody that doesn't feel like trolling? Checking to see if we have any more stuff on Twitter since I've been talking. Any news? I mean, you got to check every 5 minutes now with the transfer portal. All right. Well, that's it for this loser that has created 10 accounts to be on here. I hope you enjoy your night. Maybe you can find something else to do, play with yourself or something, other than get on somebody's YouTube of a team you don't like. All right, guys. So appreciate you for checking in here. We will be back next week for some more news, probably some more basketball next week as we really start to dig into basketball season. And, we'll have, by then, hopefully, Mississippi State has a defensive coordinator and a defensive staff. At that point, we can talk about that group and really start to dig into the transfer portal as well. So we'll be back here probably next Monday. Should be fun. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And come check us out also at 247. We got a nice deal over there with plenty of conversation going on. And recruiting is heating up. Official visits coming up as well. So come check it out. All right, guys. Hope you have a great day. We'll holler at you later. We'll catch you down the road.